ASMR Minesweeper tutorial. Today I'm going to be trying to teach you Minesweeper in as precisely and concisely as possible. I hope that you enjoy and that you learn a little something, you fucking zoomer. And I got you. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to learn a lot of things together. Now, Minesweeper is a game all about math, logic, and pattern recognition. This is a Minesweeper board. It consists of a rectangle full of squares, otherwise known as cells. This board is a 16 by 16 board. That means there's 256 possible cells. I'd like to take your attention to the number in this top left corner. As you can see right here, it says 40. This number right here displays the number of mines left on the board. The goal of the game is to get this number down to 0. Now this number in the top right is your timer. Currently it is sitting at a healthy 0. The moment you click on the board, the timer starts. It counts up from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 and so on until you either die or you complete the level. You do not have to worry about a time limit because there is none. Now, this smiley face is just there. You click on that when you want to reset the board. Also, let's say we click on something and, hold on. If we click on a mine, that face changes into a dead face. And you never want to kill smiley old Bob over here. So you best be good at sweeping mines whenever you want to reset the game because you died, or maybe you just want to reset it in the middle of the game. You can press this button and it'll start you off anew with a new board. What is the point of this game? What is the objective? I've talked about mines, I've talked about the timer, but how do you win this game? How do you play this game? Well, each cell contains one of 3 things. It is either a number, a mine, or an open space. The point of this game is to lower this number to 0 and click on every single non-mine square there is on the board. If you manage to click on every single non-mine square on the board, that is how you win the game. How do you lose the game? Well, simple. If you click on a mine, you instantly die. There is no second chances. There are no respawns. I mean, you can respawn, but it will take you to a new game. Let's talk about what the numbers mean. I'm not going to read your message. I need to get back to the tutorial. Anyways, what do the numbers mean? It's simple. So right there, I just clicked on an empty square. Now, when you click on an empty square, a lot of things happen. I mentioned how an empty square is one of the 3 things you could possibly see. You could either see a number, a mine, or an empty square. An empty box essentially is the number 0. When you click on an empty square, it automatically clicks on every single square adjacent to it, and until it hits a number. So for example, I clicked on this empty square. Because I clicked on this empty square, the game automatically clicked on these 3 squares adjacent to it. And because these 3 adjacent squares were also empty squares, the game then automatically clicked on the squares adjacent to those. So for this square, it clicked on these 2. For this square, it clicked on these 4. For this square, it clicked on these 2. And so on. And for example, this square right here, since it was an empty square, it clicked on these 2. But then it hit numbers, and so it stopped. Whenever you... Oh look, what is that? Oh, it's a little twig-ass bitch trying to disturb my Minesweeper tutorial. Ew, disgusting. Hey, listen, we don't want to have little twig-ass bitches here. Bye-bye, Robin. Okay, so a number indicates how many mines are adjacent to that square. For example, this 1 means that out of these 2 boxes, there is 1 mine there. This 2 right here means that out of these 5 boxes, there is 2 mines. somewhere in there. It is your job to use the power of math and logic and pattern recognition to find out exactly where the mines are. These little flag things, well, these are called flags. A flag is useful for keeping track of where the mines are. You can place a mine onto the field by right-clicking. I have just right-clicked to place a mine. You can get rid of it by right-clicking as well. Oh, sorry, let me do your squat. Okay, if you just do a little bit of simple counting, you'll see that the biggest number possible is the number 8. 8 is very rare, and it is very scary when you see an 8. Every time you see an 8, you must take a screenshot legally. Oh, by the way, when you click on a mine, it automatically kind of highlights the squares that are adjacent to it. If you'll see, I've already opened up every single box next to this one, except for this one box here. We know then that this must be a mine. Because where else would it be? There's only one spot for it to go. Using logic like that is what helps you beat the game. Chording is a trick you can do where, when you have a number and you have mines placed next to that number, the appropriate amount of mines. For example, in this case, this is a 1. Oh shoot, I accidentally clicked on it. You can do this thing called a chord. If you click on it, it will automatically click on every single square that isn't a mine that you have placed down. So for example, right here, because there's a 1 on this square and there's a mine here, it will automatically click on this square to the right of the mine when I chord it. The mines help you visualize, the flags help you visualize where the mines are, but they also have utility. You can use the flags to figure out where to chord and how to chord. So if you'll see, we have another beautiful example of a chord here. There's a 1 right here next to a mine that we are certain is a mine based on logical deductions. If I press on this 1 right here, the game will automatically click on every single square adjacent to that one. It will click on this square. It'll click on this square. It'll click on this one, this one, this one, and this one. Now I'm going to chord in 3, 2, 1. The game will automatically click on those 4. And as you will remember, whenever you click on an open box, it will also click on the adjacent boxes next to it. That's why this happened. Based on the numbers, you can figure out a lot about the board. For example, we know that there's a mine here because this 2 already has 1 mine to the top of it, and there is only 1 more square that is adjacent to it, so therefore this must be a mine. Now that we know this is a mine, we can click on this one to chord. And as you play more and more, you'll get more familiar. You'll start to notice the patterns, a few of which we will go over today. But let's go over what happens when you chord incorrectly. So like I mentioned earlier, whenever you place a flag down, that is you marking a mine. It is not set in stone because you can get rid of the flag. You can place it somewhere else. The moment you chord, that is you committing. That is you saying, I'm absolutely sure there is a mine here. Whenever you click on a number next to a flag to chord, that is you committing. That is you saying there is a mine there, and I'm sure of it, and I'm going to click on everything that is not a mine. So let's give an example of a bad chord, because this will end your games. We know it has all 7 squares, other than this one, have been opened up. Okay? Which means that this must be a mine. And now we see there's a 1 here. And we know that the mine is here. But, for example, let's say that we, for some reason, thought that the mine was here. Now, do you remember what a chord does? A chord clicks on every single square adjacent to that number that you have not marked a flag. I click on this one here, this one right above the flag, if I click on that, the game will automatically click on this, and this. It will automatically do that. However, we know that there is a mine here. So, when I click on this one, and I'm doing this for demonstration purposes, if you place your flags incorrectly, you will lose the game. I will demonstrate that right now. See, I clicked on the one. What the game did was, you marked that the flag was there. Right? You marked that there was a mine there, and so the game automatically clicked on every single square adjacent to that number. And in doing so, it clicked on a mine. Whenever you click on a mine, remember, you lose the game. So you want to make sure to place your flags correctly. And now I'll give you an example of a game. The very, very basics of simply counting number of adjacent squares and try to finish the board that way. Not all Minesweeper boards are solvable. That is a sad truth. Sometimes you will have to guess. There will be situations where you have all the information possible, and yet there is still a chance of failure. You will have to make a guess at some point. Now, let's start playing this game. So, immediately what I notice is that there's a 1 here. There's also a 2 here, a 2 here, a 1 here. And we know, like, just based on this number 2, or based on this number 2, or based on this 1 or this 1, there must be a flag here because of this 1. There must be a flag here because of this 1. And these 2, there's only one space for it to go. For example, this 1 right here, we know that the mine has to go here. And so now we can chord this 2. Now, there are 3 mines here, and there is the number 3, which means we can automatically chord that. There's 2 mines here, we automatically chord that. It's always a good idea to chord. Because of this 3, we know that there are 2 mines here. With this information, well, now that this mine, we know that there's a 1 here and a flag here, we can chord it. And now we see a 3 and a 2. Because of that, we know that there's a mine here. There's only one space for the mines. For this 3 has 2 mines next to it, 2 flags next to it, and only one space it can go. This 2 has 1 flag next to it, and only one space the remaining flag could go. And so it has to be there. With this information, we can click on this 3. And the game just goes like that. You keep on opening up new boxes. You learn more information. You use the numbers to figure out where to go from there. Try not to click on any mines. Once you start learning this game, you can start recognizing different patterns that this game holds. You'll start to get really quick. You'll start to understand where to place your mines, how to do it efficiently. And sometimes you don't even need to flag. There are game modes, there's categories that people try to do where you don't even have to flag and you can win the game. Chording obviously helps a lot. I recommend every beginner figure out how to chord because it helps you visualize where the mines are, and also the flags have utility. But once you get really good, there are such things as no flag. There are such things as efficiency, trying to beat the game with as few clicks as possible. But you see there, because I've played Minesweeper, and because of the counting I did, I could solve this board, and you could too. That is how you play the game. That is how you win. That is how you lose. That is what chording is. We went over what the numbers are, and we went over what a mine is, what a flag is. Now, this next portion will go over some of the strategy of the game, because sometimes you'll see something that you don't quite know what to do with, but there may be a solution that you don't recognize. In fact, we're going to go use a evil no-guess board to demonstrate this. Now, what a no-guess board is, on World of Minesweeper, there is actually game modes where, based on this square, if you click on this square, the rest of the board is 100% solvable. You just need to be able to figure out the patterns. And already, I actually don't know how to do this, so we can logic it out. Actually, this is a bad board. I don't want to do this one. Right here, there is a 2, a 3, a 2, a 2, a 1. and it seems uncertain, right? There's a 1 here, the mine could be in any of these 3. There's a 2 here, that means there could be a mine in there's 2 mines in any of these 3. There's a 3 here with a mine on top, which means there's 2 remaining mines in these 3 boxes. There's a 2 here and a mine above it, which means there is 1 remaining mine up here. And same with this one. And it's all very confusing. It seems uncertain, but actually there is a trick here. I actually know, based on logic, that these 2 are mines. And see, I was right. We will cover these patterns shortly. Patterns. This will teach you very well. We've went over this basic pattern. If a number is touching the same number of cells, then those cells are all mines. Just based on logical deduction, they have to be mines. Now, one of the most famous and important patterns you will need to know. This is a very popular pattern that will show up in a lot of your games. The 1-1. If you can see this number 1 on the side here, on the very, very left, it is adjacent to 2 squares that have not been opened. And now that actually gives us some information, because we know that there cannot be a mine to the top right of this 1. Why is that? Well, if there was a mine to the top right of this 1, that would mean that these 2 squares could be clicked on. But if these 2 squares could be clicked on, then where would the mine for this 1 be? There wouldn't be. It wouldn't be possible. And so because of that information, it touches these 2 yellow cells. They contain 1 mine. This right one is also touching those same cells, but that square can be opened. That is one of the most important themes of Minesweeper, being able to figure out which squares are safe to click on and which squares are completely free. Let's take a look at another pattern. This is very similar. This is another 1-1. Right here is touching these 2 mines, and then it's touching those 2 yellow mines. This 1 to the right of it, we know that there's a mine in those 2 squares, which means that these green squares are 100% clickable. You can click on them without having to worry that there's a mine in there. You can click on those extras without fear of blasting. Oh, by the way, clicking on a mine is called blasting. That is the official term. Now, another extremely important tip is the 1-2-1, a very, very, very infamous pattern. The 1-2-1 is actually secretly 2 1-1s right next to each other. Let's take a look at this 1, right? This 1 is touching 2 mines. The ones highlighted in yellow. We know this. Now let's take a look at the 2. There's a mine guaranteed a 50-50 in between these 2 squares, but now there's a 2 next to it. Now we know that there is 1 mine in these 2 squares, which means that there must be a mine to the top left of the 2, because these 2, there's 1 mine in between them. There's not 2, and this 2 needs 2 mines, which means that this must be a mine. And it doesn't have to be on the edge of the board, actually. It could be anywhere. The 1-2-1 has one solution, like it says right here, because you can apply the 1-1 pattern. The 1-2-1 is secretly 2 1-1s. You see this 1, you can apply that pattern from the left. You can also apply the 1-2 pattern from the right. And so it is always guaranteed whenever you see something like this, just based on the game layout, based on the game rules, you know that there are mines above the 1-2-1. The 1-2-2-1 is the exact opposite of the 1-2-1. Instead of the mines being on the 1s, they are instead on the 2. Because you just apply the 1-2 pattern like it says from the left and from the right. You see that there is a 1 here, right? There must be a mine in these 2 boxes. And because of that, we know that there's a 50-50 here, which means that the mine must be here. Now looking at it from the other side, we do the same pattern. You see a 1, okay, and then this 2, there's a 50-50 here, so there must be a mine over here. And because of that, we can solve it. Y'all come to Robin. No, okay. I'm not gonna scream, but Obsidian, don't even joke about that. Robin is trash. Robin is a little twig-ass bitch. I've said this so many times. Like, he's just so trash. Like, he's not even cool. He's not even a real person. I hope you guys enjoyed this Minesweeper tutorial. I'll do another intermediate game to try to demonstrate these kinds of patterns. Like, this is a 1-2-1. We know that the mines are on the 1s. See, we know this. This is actually a really unique pattern, the 2-3-2. Just based on like counting the number, you just know that they have to be mines like that. Let me see if I can find any other patterns. Yes, right here. This is actually a secret 1-2-2-1 because there is a mine here and there's a mine here. This makes this 2 a 1. This makes this 2 a 1, and then this becomes a 1-2-2-1. And so we know that the flags must be here. Oh, I almost misclicked. And so the more you play this game, the more you'll start to recognize these patterns, and just the better at the game you'll become. Until you can spot patterns, you don't even have to think about it. Most people, when they play the game, people have played this game a long time. They don't even need to think, they don't need to do the logic because it is so ingrained into their brains. They just know how to solve the board based on pattern recognition. After a while, it's not math, it's not counting, it's not logic. You just memorize these and you're done, you're set, you're good to go. I had no idea that Minesweeper could be this fun. I thought, oh, it's the silly number game with the bombs. Then I really got into it and it has been a blast. Also, the Minesweeper community on Twitch is so lovely. It's so beautiful. They're so supportive, especially Sergey. I'm not going to plug Sergey because this is not the point of the stream. This is a Minesweeper tutorial stream. But yeah, like everyone on Twitch in the Minesweeper community has been such a pleasure. They're so nice. They're so lovely. They're so supportive. It's the least toxic community I've ever been a part of. And I'm super glad to have found them. I'm super glad that they introduced me to this game, which I now love and I play a lot on stream. Thank you for coming to this Minesweeper tutorial stream.